Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Julie Gardner with Synergy Financial. Hope all is well. And I have the handsome Logan Long with me today. He is part of Synergy Financial and has been with that organization for 4 years nearly. So he's going to celebrate next year. Or in a month, give him
Yep.
something to celebrate. But he's been an athlete at college. And in college, he played at Kansas State for 5 years. Then he thought, I'm not done with school. Let me go to Washburn Law and pass the bar just recently. Woo woo.
Yes,
So
very exciting.
we are talking to a brilliant man. And what I love about Logan is his heart behind it. But he has focused on estate planning, family wealth planning. And that's why I have him here today, because he's passionate about helping people and individuals find financial freedom and seeing their families flourish in their financial life. And I was on a call and I heard Logan just, and I was like, whoa, what's he talking about? He's got the whole plan mapped out for how to invest in your kids. That is fantastic, Logan. Welcome. I'm so excited you're here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Really excited to talk about our topic today. I think it's something people need to hear about. They need to hear about how they have options and different things they can do with their money, whether they're a parent, a grandparent, a college student, whoever it may be, different paths to financial freedom.
I love it. And yes, it is so important to think a new thought. And part of this podcast is just educating our middle class families on what are their options. Because when you can elevate and educate, we're going to definitely edit our financial stories and leave some great money behind. Logan, how did you even get excited about this? What's your story that created the passion in you? Because I mean, some people are just all about sports and they want to play sports till they're 80, but you've shifted into the financial realm. How did that happen?
Yeah, so I guess on today's topic, what's really important to me is my family, my parents specifically, had a really great plan for saving for my future. And that freed me up in a lot of ways. In college, I was a walk on at Kansas State, so I was paying for my school. I had some academic scholarships in place. Should say my parents were paying for my school. Fortunately enough, they saved really, really well from the time I was a newborn up until college. And that allowed me a lot of flexibility, especially post undergrad when I went on to law school. I was eventually put on scholarship at Kansas State. So we got to keep some of that money in the account. My great grandma saved for me in the form of a CD. My grandparents saved for me. My parents saved for me. And now I'm reaping that benefit. Most students coming out of law school can come out with sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars of student debt. That really cripples them in job options as well, whether that's going to work for the government and getting some of that student loan forgiveness, or really just taking on almost like a second mortgage and freeing them up in housing options, different things. So that's kind of my passion behind this topic. Passionate about financial education and financial literacy, just because I've seen how it can transform individual lives, family lives, and businesses as well. So just knowing that knowledge truly is power at the end of the day, and finances affects our everyday life no matter what. It's one of those topic areas, maybe besides religion, that you deal with every single day, no matter what. There's no hiding from it. There's no running from it. So I'm very passionate about getting people, in a low key environment where we can have these conversations and grow together.
So let me ask you this. Now, I am many years your senior, but I went to a private college. My parents actually funded my college. I thought their business did really well all of a sudden because they paid for the three kids in the family. My mom went back to college, and then their assistant that worked in their business, they paid for all five of us at the same time. And I thought, man, that's great. She told me later, girl, we sold our life insurance policy and funded your college that way. And I thought, that's fantastic. Thanks, Mom. Appreciate it. Glad y'all hung in there and didn't need the life insurance. But it was 40,000 for me to go, and that was 1991. So what
Mhm.
does it cost? What would it cost somebody to go to Kansas State, which is a state college? You were in-state tuition, correct?
Yeah, so the program I had, Kansas State was paired. I'm from Oklahoma originally, so some of the border states actually were able to receive some in-state tuition, and of course, undergrad's a lot more cost efficient than a postgraduate degree. My law school was quite a bit more, but on the undergrad side, you can look at anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000 on the tuition side. You have your cost of living. Rent in college is really cheap compared to a mortgage or renting outside of a college town. But I think I paid on average about $350 in rent a month. And of course, you have,
That's really good. Let's all go to
yeah,
college.
exactly. Yeah, you had to be able, I had roommates, of course, and
Oh,
was splitting that. But you have to be able to eat. You have to be able to have some fun on the weekends. And so you're looking at, anywhere between $10,000 per semester, all the way up to $20,000 in some cases, depending on private versus public, your cost of living, cost per credit hour, the kind of institution. For some bigger schools, it might cost more. And then we have here in Kansas a lot of private institutions as well. Those, of course, are going to cost more. So the cost really varies. And that's why it's so important to have these kinds of conversations early on
right. Because I
because,
know University of Alabama, I think it's $100,000 a year. So yes, 40. It could be, we'll say 20,000 to 100,000. I'm sure people would be happy to go to some schools and take your money for 200,000. But
yeah,
and for those of y'all listening to, we are going to cover, it doesn't matter. Some of the plans that Logan was telling me about, doesn't matter if you go to college. So, um, gosh, trade school is amazing. You can make
mhm.
80,000 right out of the gate being an AC technician and a plumber. And those jobs are lacking. Like we don't have enough of those people. And so even the trades are really important.
Yeah, no doubt. And there's a lot of different options for folks. As far as schooling goes, you can go community college route. You can do the trade school route. I went to a high school that was in an area that's very blue collar in terms of oil field, a lot of welding, wind technicians. And so at my high school, you had the option as a sophomore in high school to start attending a vocational school and be fully licensed, ready to go by the time you graduate as a senior. So that path looks different for everybody. And that's why it's so important that you're in a flexible saving option as opposed to something that's going to put handcuffs on you and say, if you don't go to college, you can't use this money except in certain situations with a penalty, all these different things. So to be really mindful of your scenario, that's why planning early on is so important as opposed to waiting until that time is here. And then typically your option is student loan.
So before it is Christmas season, we're filming this in December. Like Christmas is next week, and it might be too late by the time you see this to give this as a gift. However, it might not be too late, and why not start in January even? But um, I have been to many Christmases with other people, and even myself. We had in the 80s, we were given lots of Nerf toys at our house. I
Yeah.
had two older brothers, but, I always feel bad giving toys when it's just going to be buried in the sea of other toys. So why not pay towards like grandparents? Why not pay towards their future? And man, my mother always says, y'all might not appreciate it now, but y'all are debt free because no college. She's Southern. That's how she talks. But we're like, yes, ma'am, we appreciate that. Thank you so much. And we were able to go ahead and start buying a house, or we could go on trips. So talk to us about what are some of the plans if somebody wanted to start a plan for a kid, how early can they start? And then what does that look like?
Yeah, so there's lots of different options right now. Some newer options, some newer ideas. Historically, a lot of people are familiar with the 529 plan. Of course, everyone's kind of heard of that. That's what a lot of people emphasize. They're great. They can be a great tool for saving for college specifically. With those, you just have to be mindful. If the individual decides, hey, I don't want to go the college route, maybe I want to become an entrepreneur and continue on a business, or go to a trade school, or go a different route than just going to college. There is a scenario where that money needs to be rolled into something similar to a Roth IRA or a Roth IRA. And then you kind of have those handcuffs on where you can't touch that money until 59 and a half.
Oh,
There are certain exclusions to that.
hold,
You can't,
hold on.
yeah,
There's a lot that can happen in that time frame. What?
exactly. Yeah, and there are exceptions to that where you can touch that money penalty free for certain exceptions, but just your everyday, if you want access to that money that has been set aside, you're going to maybe have to jump through some hoops, so to say, to get to that money. So that's your 529. I know what my great grandma did was just fund CDs over and over and over and over and get that kind of lower interest rate, but there was security in that. It wasn't going to lose value. And so that's another way to do it. Another kind of maybe newer, popular way that folks maybe aren't aware of is using the cash proceeds from a life insurance policy to fund college. Maybe not to fund college, maybe to fund a down payment for a home or to pay for a wedding. That's a big one right now. Weddings are expensive. Girl dads out there, listen up. There's ways that you can start saving now.
Yeah.
Um, and that's a costly expense, but just knowing your options, and particularly what we call it is a Head Start plan. It's an IUL for kids, an insurance-based policy, and I can kind of get into what that looks like and all the specifics on that. But yeah, there's a lot of options out there.
What does IUL stand for?
Index Universal Life, so it is a form of whole life insurance per se. Has some cash value attached to it, death benefit attached to it, and it's really a Swiss Army knife of financial products. But it's particularly helpful for young children as early on as 6 weeks. That first checkup can start utilizing that policy.
Gotcha. And so, there's so many people out there on YouTube with, well, this is what I think about this. This is all the opinions, right? We all have an opinion, and some we have opinions we don't even know what we're talking about. So, what have you seen is why would you set it up, or is there a way you would set it up to be the most advantageous? And you might not want to get in the weeds in that, but you might.
Yeah.
Or would you say, or the high level, like out of all the things, why do you want the Swiss Army knife?
So first and foremost, what I think is the number one consideration with the IUL for kids, it is a way to, and one of the only ways to establish permanent protection for a child. And a lot of people are in the mindset in the camp of, well, it's a child. What are the health issues going to be? My hometown right now, we've seen 4 or 5 babies born in the last 6 months that have had major health concerns that are costing those families. Are on insurance, of course, but that's not going to pay for you to take the 3-hour car ride to Oklahoma City, and the motel and the food and the stress and the expenses and the time off of work. So securing a policy that's going to protect your child as early on as 6 weeks is crucial. And it's not just your typical, I pass away, the child passes away, and the family receives the death benefit. There's more than one way to access that policy: heart attack, stroke, cancer, severe accident, bad burn, can't perform 2 out of the daily 6 life functions, all these different ways to utilize that death benefit, especially for adolescents with those early diagnoses. So that is what I would say is the number one kind of advantage in my camp, and what I feel can really help children.
That's so
Two,
interesting.
yeah, go ahead.
That's interesting you said that, because a lot of times, so I have a special education degree, and you don't even know what's going on with your kid. And then they're diagnosed usually at 5 or 6, and sometimes not till 11. So you're telling me that they need to get ahead of the diagnosis, because once you're diagnosed, you can't really qualify for some things.
Yes, exactly. And two, you're securing a cheaper price of coverage. Of course, the older you get on life insurance, the more costly it's going to be. So you're securing the lowest possible rate for what could be that child's lifetime. Best case scenario, they don't need to utilize that policy and the death benefit inside of it, and they're protected for the rest of their life at a lower premium cost. So if best case scenario, like I said, what we're hopeful for is nothing happens and they have the cheapest possible life insurance moving forward for the rest of their life.
Gotcha. So they're investing, and so grandma, grandpa, and parents are putting
Mm.
in. Let's just say, what would you recommend most start with? Is it $100, 200, 500? Where do they usually start?
Yeah, so it's depending all on the kind of, it's planning really at the end of the day. So if I have someone that's coming to me and they have a 6-month-old child and they're really wanting to start planning early, we can look at as little as $50 a month. So
Okay.
very cost efficient. Of course, if somebody comes to me and their goal is to pay for their child's college, and they're 8 years old, well, the price of college is only going to get more expensive, and you've waited to save a little bit later in that child's life. So, of course, it's going to be a little bit more costly if you want to reach that goal. It might look like $200 a month, but it's cheaper to save early, no doubt about it.
It's interesting, because I was thinking, all right, well, on the back end, if you like right now, if you didn't have any of your college paid for, you probably would start paying your student loan debt of $300 to $500 a month. So I guess it's a matter of, hey, grandma, grandpa, do you want to spend $40 on that plastic toy shaped like dinosaurs or pink things for girls, whatever? Do you want to spend that $40 for that, or do you want to invest in their future? And heck, it could be, the great aunt that can't, maybe she wants to spend $40 and the grandparents will want to put $40 in and the parents. But it's interesting. Yeah. If they put $50 or $200 today, and then they're going to have all this money later on. So what happens with all that money? Does it like start in a bank, and when can they access it if they need it? And they're like, I don't know, let's say they did get sick at 15 and they wanted, or, ooh, how about this? An elite athlete that wants to play soccer and travel. Could they access the money at 15? How does that work?
Yeah, so it's depending, it's policy specific. Number one, the child would be the insured, and then there would be a policy owner, either the parent, the grandparent, whoever it may be. And that policy owner will have access to those funds depending on how the policy is set up. Multiple different ways to do it depending on the client's objectives. But you can utilize that cash value at any time, and you have access to that money with no sort of restrictions. So very advantageous, because you're not just looking at this scenario in terms of, am I going to college and I'm only using this money for college? Perfectly fine to do that. That money can be set aside for just that. But as we all know, life happens. Situations change. Your child could come to you at 12 years old and decide they want to be the best ballet dancer in the history of the world, and that's going to be a costly event. So you would have that portion of money set aside already that you can say, hey, let's weigh our options. Let's look at where we're at, where we want to go, and what's going to be most advantageous to us right now. So that policy will have the death benefit, of course, that's the insurance portion. Then it will have a cash value portion. Something that is very, very integral to these plans is they're a zero loss plan. They have a 0% floor. So you utilize compound interest. You're getting interest on top of interest, which is only going to compound more and more the more principal that's in the account. So it's set up a number of different ways, and there's flexibility as well inside of the plan. So say I'm starting a college plan and things are going great. I have my fixed income maybe as a grandparent, and I decide I'm going to save $100 a month towards my grandchild, their future. Well, I just ran into a little additional money. We can go up to almost 4 times that monthly target. So $100 can turn into $400. You can put that policy on steroids. Or maybe something happened in my life as a grandparent where money's getting a little tight right now. I can actually go down to about half of that premium amount. So there's advantages to it in terms of flexibility. And also you have the ability to pass that policy on to the child once they become an adult. So maybe they become 24 years old and you say, hey, you're going to be the owner of this policy now. I want you to fund this thing. I want you to have the discipline to save $100 a month. And I would hope after you put your child, your grandchild through college, you're going to be able to find $100 a month to put towards their future. So it's built-in discipline. And that's one of my favorite parts of it. 529, you have a little bit more flexibility in how you fund that thing. But the IUL for children, the IUL in general, is built-in discipline to where, hey, this is a plan. I'm going to follow this plan. I'm going to leave this legacy as a plan.
So I did hear you say no loss, and I heard you say freedom and flexibility. I don't care what you do. I love variety. I love freedom and flexibility because I never know what's happening tomorrow. And so we've had people pass away in our family. I mean, who hasn't, right? Someone's passed away in our family. We've had 20-year-olds ill, and it just happens. And I've watched my nephews change careers where they went Navy and then Space Force. The one's still in Space Force. Yeah, thank you for your service.
Yes.
But the Navy, he got out, and now he was doing underwater welding, and now he's working at like a plumber maintenance guy at one of the theme parks in Orlando. So he's just changed. And hello, if anyone knows me, I have changed my roles. Y'all look me up on LinkedIn. So yeah, it happens. So I love that these are things. Now, you also said, I might have taken you off track, but why do we love this index universal life? You said flexibility. It also gives you no loss and gets you a plan for your kid to be totally flexible. Anything else you would say about this?
Yeah, so another key point with this is you have the ability to access that money. And since it is cash value inside of an insurance policy, a big thing we hear and we talk about, and it's real, is student loans. FAFSA is a major consideration for a lot of folks. When you look at certain qualified assets that will count against your FAFSA, they can really cripple you in terms of student loans, because if I have a qualified asset, the government's going to say that's going to count towards your college. We're going to reduce your FAFSA amount. An IUL is not going to be counted towards FAFSA. It's a cash value asset inside of an insurance policy. So that will not go towards your FAFSA. With certain exceptions, of course, there's exceptions to everything. But that really allows you flexibility in how you plan to pay for college. So if I'm an individual with an IUL, a Head Start plan, I might go to college and say I'm going to take out a Parent Plus loan for my child. It's going to have that 0% interest. I'm going to allow that IUL to compound for an additional 4 years. At the end of the college career, I'm going to take out the cash value inside of that insurance policy and pay off that entire loan with no interest. So it gives you an extra 4 years to get that compound interest while taking advantage of that Parent Plus loan, just giving your money more time to grow. So another kind of huge advantage to the whole plan.
It's like super savvy. You know, people are like, "Oh shoot," and they wait till their child's 16 or 17. Like, "Oh, I need to plan for college." So it seems like the earlier the better, right?
Yes,
And
100%.
I'm going to give you guys Logan's phone number because you might want to go, wait, what? How does this work? And you're in Kansas right now or Oklahoma?
I'm in Kansas City.
Kansas City. And can you help anyone in the country?
Yes, so I am able to help folks all across the country with my licensing. And something too, I will say is the fact that I do estate planning as well. I help individuals plan for their future in terms of succession planning, estate planning, different things like that. And what I tell folks that are planning on maybe getting an estate plan in order, they're older individuals, maybe on an older demographic. What we're seeing right now in America is the largest transfer of wealth that we've ever seen, from the older generation to the younger generation. The older generation was in true retirement plans, pre-1980s, personal private pensions, pension plans from employers. They knew exactly how much money they were going to receive on a monthly and an annual basis in retirement. And now we're shifting over into government sponsored plans post 1980s, things like 401ks, qualified accounts, what I would call retirement supplements that aren't going to pay you out for the rest of your life. So when I'm sitting down with these folks, I'm talking to them about the fact that, hey, most people think of leaving a legacy in terms of I pass away and then I leave a legacy to my family that they get to utilize. Let's shift that conversation to I'm still alive. I can set my legacy up now. I can
Oh,
see the benefits of saving for my grandchild while I'm still alive, see them go to college, see what my money and my legacy has done for them. Of course, it gets very complex in this realm with tax ramifications, annual gift exclusions, all these different things where I can transfer this wealth that I plan on transferring after I pass away. Let's have the conversation of what does it look like to maybe transfer some of that wealth while you're still alive, so you can see the benefit of that, see that role play out, see that legacy start to build. So it's not just legacy planning for after I'm gone. It's legacy planning for now. I'm still alive. I want to make this thing go now so I can see it with my own eyes.
can you guys tell that Logan is brilliant and has his law degree? I love it. Logan, you are so brilliant. I love this. And I love that you're taking your brains of brilliance and helping other people because it's so exciting. It's kind of cool because I don't know how old you are. You're under 30.
26, yeah.
26. I'm just excited because how many families will you put money in their pocket just using compound interest
Mhm.
and a great product that's going to just, you know, exponentially create money and wealth for families? I'm excited. So, okay, Logan, have you done the math? Do you know how many millionaires you're going to help create just doing your thing? I mean,
Well,
that's kind of fun. That's a fun thought.
yeah, hopefully I won't be able to count by the time it's all said and done. But yeah, I mean, I'm just so passionate about the fact that um, financial topics are historically a stressful conversation. I want to alleviate some of that pain by just simply planning. It doesn't matter where you're at right now, where you want to be. You know, you hear the saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is right here today, right now. And that's so true in your financial life. No matter where you're at currently, you don't have to let that continue to be where you're at. Just simple disciplines, having conversations with individuals that are educated on the topic and that can truly help you and transform not only your life, but more importantly, generations of lives underneath you. It's that family legacy, and you are the writer of your own story. That's what everyone has to realize in their financial picture. You write that story. Of course, the economy plays into it, maybe who's in office, what interest rates are, what the job market looks like. That all plays into it. But at the end of the day, that's money in your pocket. You decide what to do with that money. You decide the legacy it's going to leave behind, and you decide ultimately how that's going to shape your family's future. We're here simply to help. That's what I enjoy with folks is seeing, okay, I've made progress, and progress is important and it matters, especially in your financial life.
I love that. That's so incredible. And so, gang, as you're watching this, if you're hanging out, you're like, oh, I have downtime. This is more interesting than reruns on television. Then, and honestly, I was on the streaming yesterday. I was like, I couldn't find it. I had to turn off 2 TV shows. I was like, this is boring. So come watch podcast and YouTube. That's way more interesting. I need real life stuff. But I know that there are financial professionals, and Logan will. I don't, Logan, I'm speaking up for you. But if you want to
Yeah.
call him over the holidays, leave him a message. He'll get back with you. And are you taking off completely till the new year?
Oh no, Logan's open 24/7, 365. And if I'm not available to answer the phone, I'll call you back right away. And something else I would say too is synergyfinancial.com. Go to the education center, short cartoons, excuse me, 3.5 to 5 minutes that explain these things simply. They're a great way for you to get more information. My resource page is on there as well, but I'm here to help. Doesn't matter the time or the day. I meet people where they're at financially and where they're at in their life, whether that's on the phone, on Zoom, in person, whatever it may be. I'm here to help.
I love that. Anything else you want us to know about that I interrupted?
No, I'm just trying to think. I think, like I said, the most important thing is just we're seeing less and less of grandparents and parents saving for the younger generation.
Yeah.
We're seeing less of them putting money towards the generation while they're still alive. And like you said, I think it's so important that folks realize $50, $100 a month can go a long ways. And for
Yeah.
somebody that's already built their career and has access to that money, and maybe it's just sitting in your bank account or sitting in a CD, let's utilize that money and maximize it. There's multiple ways to leave a legacy behind. And it's important to realize you don't just have to hoard it all away and think one day when I pass away and I'm gone, this is going to transfer. Let's talk about transferring it now so you can reap those benefits and maximize that money right now as opposed to in the future.
I love that. And, it never hurts to have a conversation and think a new thought. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. If you have a new topic that you'd like covered, please email me. I'm happy to interact. I will be working as well, except for Christmas Eve and Christmas. Yay!
Yeah.
Um, but New Year's Eve, I don't party too much. I'm 9 o'clock. I'm in the bed,
There
so
you go.
I would be available. So if you ever need anything, but we so appreciate you, Logan. I can't wait to talk to you maybe in a year or two and go, I've made this many millionaires, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And
God
it's
willing.
possible. It's
Exactly. It
possible.
is. Anyone's capable of anything. It's just a mindset and a planning preparation.
Awesome. And if y'all notice, he's so laid back. He's not going to twist your arm to make any choices, but he is heavy in the education. He will twist your arm to listen, right?
That's right. Yep. Well, knowledge is power, no doubt about it. You know, they say what you don't know can't hurt you, and that might be the biggest lie ever. What you don't know can absolutely hurt you, and it will hurt you. Knowledge is power. And that's been a whole emphasis in my life is connecting with individuals that know more than me, pour into me, and that let me learn so I can pass on that information. We're all here to help each other. We're all human, and we should all maximize our potential together.
Excellent. Knowledge is power. Go get some from Logan. Give him a holler. Thank you and enjoy your holidays. And I hope you all dig in and think a new thought and explore how you can grow your wealth.
All righty. Thank you, Miss Julie.
Thank you.